What's up, everybody?
So let's talk about today's event first. For one, you look like a natural on the mic. You ever thought about a career as an MC instead of a basketball player?
I had to get through this one first. Yeah. So it's definitely something that I'm super excited to do, and I always try to make the kids happy. Especially in events like these, you just try your best to make others smile, but also teach them a little bit, just to keep them encouraged and on the right path to keep doing what they're doing.
So what makes you want to get on the Mount Rushmore of Celtics community grades?
Honestly, it's less so about the Mount Rushmore for me. It's always been about just making sure I make an impact day in and day out, trying to make sure that everyone's taken care of top to bottom, and making sure that in the community they understand we're pretty attainable. It's something that we always don't see as pro athletes. I remember when I was younger, I always looked back to Gerald Henderson and Kimball Walker as two guys who were always so present and available. I remember going to Bobcats camps and Hornets camps, and them two stuck in my mind throughout my entire career. And when I got to meet them in person, when I got to the league, I always thanked them for it. So that's always something that I view and look back to, and I remember the guys who were present and available and there for me.
Comes pretty naturally to you, seems like, interacting with people, hosting these kind of things. Where do you think that stems from for you, just how natural it seems?
Yeah, for me, I think it's always just come from willingness to give. I've always tried to be a servant leader, as a person that always thinks of others before he thinks of himself. So for me, it's always just been about giving back to those who may necessarily need it. Like I've always said when I was younger, you never know what's going on in someone's life. You never know what smile they need. You never know, just that one interaction could change their entire perception of you, or also perception of life itself. So for me, that's why I've always been able to do it. It's something that I never get drained of doing. It's something that I've always been passionate about doing, and something I'll continue to do, even no matter what happens.
I heard you give that short speech, for the women in sports. That's always been a big deal for you, it feels like, and I know you've got a great relationship with your mom, and the WNBA sweatshirts, everything you do on that front. What kind of motivates you to advocate for, the women in sports, women in society?
Right, it's all about empowerment. I always look back to my mom being the first black woman GS15 in NASA, and how she was treated, and I've always viewed her as a pillar and a person that I always look back to, that I'm thankful for, because it shows why you need to give your energy, and it shows the difference between being a male in society and a female in society, and how you can empower those who don't necessarily get that all the time. And for me, it's not about necessarily saying that I'm higher or anything else. It's always been about just making sure that everyone's taken care of justly, and there's a light that needs to be shined, and sometimes we don't give them the credit they deserve. And even if you just see with the WNBA and everything right now, once they're put on TV, the numbers went up and increased. So you just gotta give someone the time of day, and you'll see how impactful they can be.
How do you feel like your role in the PA can allow you guys as a league to better support the WNBA and give them more equal footing?
Absolutely. We as VP and CJ and I talk about it all the time, how we can not only help the W but the G as well, and just making sure that they're not only taken care of and compensated, but also just looking at it in a different light. They're professional athletes, and sometimes we don't even think of them in that way, and we disrespect them at times. And I've always said you have to give respect to earn it yourself, and people in the community have to realize when they've never even seen a W game, you can't really comment on it. It's similar how if you don't know, you're not a neuroscientist, it's tough to comment on the brain, right? So I've always been huge on just giving the opportunity, give that step, and try something new, and you'll learn that there's many different great things that you can find. Not everything's about dunking the basketball. Not everything's about. It's all about seeing the skill of basketball and seeing it grow as a game, both for both male and female athletes.
Your role with the union now, obviously, you just got the election. What are the big issues you guys are trying to tackle? You obviously speak of that one. It's a big month for you guys. What are the things you're discussing with CJ, with Malcolm, with some of the guys on the front board and the league right now?
Our biggest thing is about growing the game for both the players and for the league and for it internationally. We're trying to make sure that we're putting the most competitive product out there, and also trying to make sure that every player is protected. How that gets down and nitty and gritty things, we always leave that to negotiation and discussions, but we're trying to make sure that the future is protected just as much as the present, and making sure that every single player has an idea of what's going on, and empowering them to not only be successful players but also businessmen. And we're trying to encourage them to be more involved, to learn more, and to continue to study, because for us, if we continue to grow and continue to be the greatness that we are, we'll continue to shine light to basketball and to each other.
Couple more questions.
How confident do you feel about getting a CPA deal done before season's up.
Yeah, I feel like that's something that you gotta just trust and believe it, be optimistic about. You can't ever look and be pessimistic or even focus on if it doesn't get done. You have to have the right mentality and believe that both sides are working to get the deal done and making sure that we're taken care of for years to come. And for us, it's all about just staying optimistic and staying making sure that the deal gets done in the right way, but also making sure that we're accomplishing the goals that we need to accomplish, both sides.
How are you doing right now over the last month or so here? You know, obviously probably not producing the way you want to on the court right now. I know you're dealing with the elbow thing last night, the 0 minutes. I know there's probably a lot of pressure, team's expectations, but also your own expectations on yourself. How are you balancing all that right now?
I'm feeling like I'm balancing it pretty well. For me, it's always just been about doing whatever the team needs. So whether that's playing or not playing, I try my best to be the person that I am. I try my best to be a team player, as I've always been, and understand that who knows what the future looks like. You can only focus on today, and you try your best just to approach every day with the right mentality, give back to those that you need to, and also give the energy to those who deserve. And that's always something that I've been very vocal about, and something that I'll try to continue to do. Is that just as hard as I am with myself, you know, you gotta give yourself some light sometimes. So for me, it's just a matter of maintaining perspective and continuing to impact the team in a positive way, whether that's on the floor or off or whatever happens later on.
And last question.
Usually you can get out there and play. That's when you try to make the best impact on. Then when you don't get to play, it's been the first time in years since that has happened. How do you, after that game, try to do things to demonstrate that you should be out there?
Yeah, you can't control any of that for me. You can only control your approach and how you respond. That's something that I view it as. Joe and those guys, they have their reasons and their focus. So for me, it's just a matter of maintaining that perspective and understanding that if it's not necessarily on the floor that I get to prove myself, you just prove yourself in the work that you put in, working out, playing as hard as you can, the practices that you don't necessarily the other guys do, you do, and then you just try and continue to stay ready just in case your number is called, because at the end of the day, like you said, it's been year over year for me, and something that definitely gets frustrating, but it's something that you have to respond to with the right mentality unless it can go the other way and spiral. So